What's going on, Metal and Guitars family? Today we're going to check out one of the most underrated amps in my opinion, which is this Peavey Ultra Plus 120 watts. Let's get to it. Alright guys, so today I wanted to check out this really awesome amp. I don't think a lot of people really know what this amp is. I've tried to look up a lot of stuff online about what this amp is, but there's a couple videos, but they don't really go too far in depth. But this thing is a tone monster. I mean, it's 120 watts and you can switch it between 120 and 60 watts, which makes it really good for live scenarios, so that way you're not too terribly loud. I mean, 60 watts is plenty loud for most places that you'll be playing, unless you're playing like a huge outdoor space, and if that's the case, you can flip it to 120 watts and you'll still hear yourself, even over your stupid loud drummer. Anyway, I've heard a lot of stories about this amplifier. This thing is supposed to be Peavey's jab at the Mark series amplifiers, and I'll tell you what, man, you used to be able to get these amps super cheap. I'm talking like $300 to $500. I mean, but here recently, it's like people are rediscovering what this is, and it's really hard to find. And I'll tell you what's even harder to find is the damn foot switch. And it's like, if you don't get the amp with the foot switch, you're gonna have a hard time. And when you do find the foot switch, it's gonna be a little bit more expensive than what you would want to probably pay for just a regular foot switch that goes to an amplifier. But anyway, I digress. There are 3 channels on this amplifier: clean, crunch, and a lead channel. The Ultra and the crunch channel share the same EQ. And there are a couple of push buttons on here. This one is Ultra gain, and the top one is crunch gain. So it's like putting a boost in front of your amplifier without a pedal. And I think that's a really cool feature that they have. This amp does have an effects loop. And on the front as well, by the power and the standby switches, you have a resonance control. And it's not like a knob control where you can really fine-tune what you want, but it says tight, medium, and loose. And then next to that is the output, where you can go half wattage or full wattage, so either 120 or 60 watts. Also, over here on my right side, you have a low gain input and a high gain input. This is Metal and Guitars, so we're going into the high gain input. For today's video, I will be using my Gibson Les Paul Custom, and that's it. I'm not going to put any pedals in front of this amp. No boosts, no delays, no reverbs, no anything. This amp does have a reverb, but currently the reverb is broken on my amp, so we're not going to use that. Alright guys, so I have everything on the amp set at 12 o'clock. So we're going to play through the clean channel, the crunch channel, and then we'll get into some high gain territory. So this is what the clean channel sounds like. Alright, so that's a little bit muddy. Let's see if we can bring some of that low out, get some highs in there. I'm going to leave the mids alone. Leave the mids alone right where they're at. I forgot to mention that on the clean channel that there's also a bright switch. That's the bright switch off. I'll turn that on. And that sounds pretty good. I'm also in the half power mode right now, by the way. So if we flip that up to full power, actually getting a little bit of breakup there. But my volume is cranked on this clean channel, which is really cool because this amp does come with a master volume. So the master volume is around 1. So if I were to pull this volume back, I'll pull that to like 3. Yeah. Now I'll crank this master volume a little bit. See if we can get that to clean up a little bit better. Alright guys, so now we're going to flip over to the crunch channel. And what's really cool is you'll notice behind me here, this light switches when you switch channels. Look at that, now it's orange. Isn't that so cool? And then when you switch red, it goes to the red channel. It's little details like that that really make me happy. It's like they really thought about the person that's playing the amplifier, and that's just really aesthetically pleasing to me. I like that. So same thing, we're set on 12 o'clock on all these settings. So let's see what we got here. Alright, again, it's a little bit muddy for me, so let's crank that edge. Edge is treble on this amplifier. You have edge, body, and bottom. Body is like your mid and bottom is your bass. So we're going to crank that edge up to about 7. I think I'm going to bring that mid to like 4, and I'm going to drop that bass to like 3. See what that does. I'm an amateur, so I'm going to get a pick. Got my pick. See how much we can further derail this video. It's still a little bit boomy to me. I'm going to bring that bottom down, bring that edge up just a little bit more. I'm going to push the mids a little bit more, see what that does. Now we're going to try and engage the crunch gain and see how much that adds to the sound. So, without, with. This is the individual gain control for the crunch channel. So that was with the gain at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. At noon, it's on 5. It goes to 10. Should go to 11 like a real amp. But anyway, so that was with the crunch at 5 on the gain. I'm going to push that to 7 and see what that sounds like. So now it's a little bit bright to me, so let's bring some of that bottom back in So now we're going to pull the gain all the way up, see what it sounds like. I feel like that would sit really well in a mix. So now we're going to go to the red channel and see how that sounds. So I'm going to set everything back to noon because the crunch and the ultra channels share an EQ. And I'm going to take that out. All right, so now everything is set to noon, and let's see what the red channel sounds like. It's a little bit boomy. Let's pull some of that treble back up. I'm gonna drop the mids and see. I'm gonna see if it does the Mark series thing, because I mean I've never heard that from like a verified source. That's kind of like friends of friends of friends talking to each other, and you know, oh, it's got to be true, right? Let's find out. So I'm gonna leave the bottom alone. And let's see, I'm going to push that gain to 6. Let's see what this sounds like. If we're going to test it out and see if it's a Mark sound, we really should tune the guitar back to standard. That sounds pretty good. I mean, I wouldn't call it a Mesa sound. It's close though. It's riding the line. So I'm gonna push that edge up just a little bit more, push it to 8, and I'm gonna drop the bottom to around 3. Oh, and I forgot. This channel also has a gain boost. Let's push that in too, see what it sounds like. When I pushed in the gain boost, I think I'm going to want a little bit more of the bottom end. So I'm going to put some of that back in, push it to about 3. Oh, that's the body. Wrong one. I'll push it to about back to 5, see what it does. that sounds really, really good. I mean, I would put that against almost any other amplifier. It's not quite a Mesa mark, but it's its own thing, man. It's got that Peavey rawness, and it's so in your face, and it's so brutally good. I am, however, going through this Peavey cabinet, with the Mick Thompson DV77 speakers in it. I should have mentioned that at the beginning of the video. So yeah, these speakers do bring a whole lot of lower end, more so than like a vintage 30 would. I also kind of feel like the edge on this amp, similar to my Mark IV, when you crank the treble, it does give you more gain, it seems like, because here, I'll take the ultra gain off and I'll bring that edge back to about 4, and we'll see what this sounds like. Bring it back to around 8 where I had it. All right, I'll tell you what, we'll bring it back to 6. If you were to throw, you know, a tube screamer, any sort of boost in front of this amp, if you didn't like the ultra gain boost that comes on the amp, it would just tighten up so much. I mean, it is a little bit flubby, but not like too bad. And I can bring more of the bottom out, bring it to about 3, and this is without the ultra gain. But to me, when you turn the ultra gain on, it gets really bright. So it lacks a little bit of that low end, so I bring it back up to about 5. What did we learn? One thing for sure, to me, is Peavey makes one hell of an amplifier. And if you can find an Ultra Plus for a decent price, I say pick it up, dude. Even if you have to just have it as a backline amplifier, if your main amplifier breaks on you or something, at least you'll have something that's really awesome. It sounds amazing. And, you know, what else can I say? What else can I say about it? You heard it. I heard it. So that about wraps it up for me here. One more riff to play us out, and I will see you on the next one. That was embarrassing.